Well, I've just driven up here, up this road here, to Mitford Road or whatever. As you can see in the distance, I've managed to fix the high dynamics, high resolution thing. It seems to be fixed now, but I'm still having problems with my zoom sort of thing. So yeah. Anyway, so as you can see out there, the open ocean. I've driven up as high as I can very quickly, and yeah, a nice house. And I just sort of thought I'd just walk around here to see if I can see any dandelions. Thinking of maybe it's there's an elevation factor to it, but then again, they do grow on my property. But you know, they're like a nice cool night sort of thing. If it gets too hot for them, they'll go into dormancy or something, or go dormant underground where you can't see them. But yeah, I can't see anything. Just but we'll have a wander. Bit of a wander. So, what do you think of the light? I'm 5 right, 5 down now. I can set it, and we're mid-April. So we're basically a month away from the true start of the CP season, or the wet sort of thing. But it feels like it's already here, basically, because we've had 2 decent dumps of rain that have come a month earlier than Anzac Day, which is when the rain usually comes. It comes just on or after Anzac Day, the 25th of April, which is a few days away now. So we got some rain tonight, so we'll expect some more just after Anzac Day. So, and the season will be underway, and it's getting chilly, and yeah, most of the Sarracenia will be heading into dormancy about the 3rd week of April, but it came like 2 to 3 weeks earlier than that this year. So yeah, they sort of colour up and head into dormancy. Oh wow, look, kids have been busy here building some. They're obviously into True Detective in a big way. Whenever I see that thing, oh yeah, they've watched True Detective. Yeah. Well, I can't spot anything that's obvious. Plenty of plantains around, and but yeah. Oh, we got the other one there. It's got a funny name to it. The way the genus is spelt. This one, I mean, can get quite big too. Colourful. Yeah. Be interesting to look out here to see if there's anything there during the actual CP season. But yeah, that'll be like on the 21st of May onwards. As I said, the prey phase are at their peak from the 21st onwards for about 3 weeks. And then the next one to come into peak is Wittigrai about the 2nd week of June, the only one that goes by the 2nd week, for about 3 weeks. So it goes over the end of June into July, which is when the basal rosettes of most of the erect species start to appear. Planchonii is at its erect peak about the 3rd week of August, and flowering sort of thing. So, but it's out longer than that. I mean, that's just when it's really at its peak sort of thing. Still got the dew on everything sort of thing. And that's basically what it is. If you get a good year, they come up after the rain or before rain and don't get their dew washed off for that sort of 3 week period, if you're lucky, if you get a good season. And a really good season when the rains come early, and you'll get maybe two cohorts of the glid sort of thing. Sometimes in really good years you might get a 3 cohort, but that's unusual. Usually you just get the 1, but if it's a good year, rains come early, you might get 2 cohorts of glids. Yeah. So anyway, gave it a go. I thought I'd just come up here, but that's a WA sort of one, so with its nice macro carp type fruits on it. Very colourful flowers, of course. So yeah. Anyway, we should be able to grow all these things flooded eventually, and well, they are supposed to be bog plants, aren't they? I mean, yeah, separate the men from the boys, you know. Oi, they're bog plants. How come you aren't growing them flooded? Right, because you didn't put the work in, did you? So I wish you good luck, but I think you're going to need it. I put in 50 years and I got to flooded, so you know. Yeah, I got to flooded. Oh well. So we got to the stage where we got more than tips and tricks now. We've got knowledge. Yeah. Well, you see these photographs of these plants growing out in the wild, and you know, in pits and ditches, and you know, on the side of puddles, in the puddle sort of thing. And some of the plants are known to remain out there for months underwater. There's stories of fly traps growing out of White Lake underwater for more than 10 years, not rotting or anything like that. Blah de blah de blah. Key species difference with Pinguicula. You got the Mexicans. You hardly ever see a Mexican in a puddle of water or on the edge of a puddle of water. Now with the new knowledge, could we grow a Mexican, you know, in a flooded situation now? I mean, the key species I would pick out is the one that Donnie and I sort of, is Drossa gigantea. It seemed to appear to be a Mexican. It seemed to be a standard Mexican, but when you put it to the test, it didn't seem to like calcium, didn't respond to it, it wasn't facultative in a way. And we're thinking, well, now with the flooded technology, we could probably test whether it can handle being flooded or not. And it might be a salient piece of information, the data we get back from that. So anyway, it's just an idea. We've got to a stage where now we can actually ask certain questions and do certain experiments to test things out. So we've come a long way, and we can do them very quickly because, you know, we've got everything at our fingertips now. You know, we've got precision at our fingertips now. We know the levels of everything. You know, it's not so much trial and error anymore. We know, oh no, you can only have this and much. You can't go below this. You can't go above that. Blah de blah, and the reasons why. You've got to have these levels or thing, you know, salinity levels and all this thing, you know, etc, 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 and yeah. Anyway, so now we know what makes them grow big, and how that's related to why they grow so close to the ocean, and in other places where you have continents and countries and continents that have been inundated by open oceans in the past. And, you know, the fact you've got rivers and creeks that are issuing tons of salt every day and have been for millennia. As the early explorers found out, they could actually navigate the tributaries of some of our inland flowing rivers using a hygrometer. And they actually calculated at the time the rough tonnage that was going into the water, and they couldn't. They could hardly believe it themselves, but the hygrometer, if it's a good one, does not lie, sort of thing. Yeah, and this was in the days before, this was probably before Darwin's book on carnivorous plants was published, I think. So, you know, so bias? What bias? So they got all this information before there was any argument about carnivorous plants and whether they like salt, whether they don't like salt, whether they need it, whether, you know, they can put up with it, you know, is it detrimental to them, and what's really going on. And so on and so forth. But we can grow the plants flooded now, so we've got a pretty good insight. So things will just only get better from here on in, I think. You know, I want to see how they go through the coming season. You know, so we get flooded through our so-called wet our winter season sort of thing. It hardly ever goes below 0 degrees, so the water's not going to freeze or anything. And yeah, so do the plants keep on growing? Does the root system keep on growing and developing through the wet in a flooded situation? So you've got a lot more nourishment there. You know, fatter, you know, bigger roots mean bigger plants, as they say with the with the root blast. Does that mean we're going to much more dramatic explosion of growth come the spring, all stored up in the roots through the wet. Now we can grow them flooded. Does your bulb or rhizome continue to grow? I mean, you've got this thing like Drosera gigantea, the only known tuberous rheophyte, the only known tuberous carnivorous plant that likes to grow semi-submerged for most of its life. From my knowledge, at Canada Swamp, they used to grow, just before and into the water, of the seasonally inundated Canada Swamp. So you had 2 meters of flooded sand, basically. They were growing, up through and back down again to form the tubies or tubers didn't rot off. So there's a lot of knowledge, I think, there that we're going to get to, and we'll be able to grow things flooded, and we'll be able to grow a tuberous Drosera in a flooded situation, and maybe they'll grow more rapidly and more robustly and faster and more colourful, and you'll be able to multiply them faster because they're flooded. They're growing all the time. They're not having a stop-start, Scott Joplin, stop-time rag sort of situation going on. Oh, it's drying out, I'm slowing down. It's getting wetter, I'm speeding up. Because it's flooded, you've got some consistency there. So they'll actually be, growing. Anyway, sorry it's a bit of a talkie and not much of a walkie here. It's better when I talk and walk, sort of thing. I think you get to see things rather than you can just nod off and tune out the verbiage. And John's probably having a good laugh on the other side of the GFC world, that one. Anyway, looks like the clouds are rolling. If you've been watching for this length of time, we've got the clouds rolling, so we're probably going to have a decent storm tonight. The first major rain. We've had 2 decent rains, but I think this is going to be first major rain because it's coming so close to Anzac Day, as I say. So going to have a nice decent dump tonight. So the creek was flowing the other night too. Not last night, but the night before it was flowing. So I think that's the earliest I've known that the creek to actually flow. Normally we're talking June or something when I start to see the creek firing up, sort of thing, when the water comes through the hinterland. But no, it's already had a flow. So I mean, that's how substantial those first 2 rains were, and coming through the hinterland, sort of thing, and causing the Sourbriar Creek to flow, sort of thing, part of the Field River catchment into the Happy Valley Reservoir Reserve, sort of thing, which I think used to be a Bernarda site that was flooded. Apparently there were buildings under the Happy Valley Reservoir when they flooded it, so there was a township in a way, in the old classic sense of the words, or a few buildings, probably a church and a couple of shops and things like that, a main street, and that's about it. Probably, I suppose you can look it up in the Mort. I've forgotten the name of the library. It's Morton something. It sounds like Mort, like the Death Library or something. I've forgotten the name of the library now, but anyway, it deals with all the historical items of South Australia, basically. The Mort, like in the Morton, something like that. It's got something like that. Anyway, it's in town. It's next to the on the corner, next to the museum, sort of thing. So yeah. Anyway, that's about it for now, and yeah. See you on the other side, I suppose, with another video about flooded plants later on in the week, I would think. Okay, see how they're going. Yeah, see how they're progressing as we get colder and colder nights, heading towards the first 2 weeks of August when we have the coldest night. Hopefully then David Aldridge will be back from apparently Vietnam now, I think it is. Yeah, be able to walk up there and sit in front of his log fire and have a chat about everything that's been going on in his life over the last couple of years. Anyway, okay, see you, bye.